The dawn slides in through the diner's smudged glass, tinting everything in muted amber and blue. Captain Jack Rain sits in a corner booth, his weathered hands cupping a chipped mug, eyes fixed on the steam rising like smoke from old battlefields. The place hums with quiet, just the low buzz of fluorescent lights and the soft scrape of a rag against a tabletop. Then hears it, a voice, humming a faint tune under her breath, steady and calm, like the one that used to cut through the static of his headset in the Afghan desert. That voice once guided him through fire. Now, it's folding napkins across the room. Jack blinks, caught between the hiss of espresso and the crackle of a distant memory. The sound of her voice drags him back. The static, the sand, the smell of gunpowder. He hears the radio in his mind, her voice cutting through chaos. Stay low, move east, I've got your eyes. But here she is, pouring coffee for strangers, wearing a plastic smile and a name tag that doesn't match the ghost he remembers. She works your first. Hey, he studies her face, searching for the voice that once guided his survival. The shape of her jaw, the curve of her lips, all wrong, yet somehow right. He remembers a code name, Echo 9, a whisper between gunfire. He wonders if she remembers the man who swore he'd never forget her voice. Jack pays the bill, his voice low and distant as he thanks her. The sound of her reply, soft, calm, exactly as it was through the radio, freezes him in place. He forces a nod, turns away, and steps into the fog. Behind him, her eyes follow, full of recognition she's too afraid to admit. The bell above the door jingles once and goes still. Lena breathes out slowly, staring at the empty booth. The hum in her throat fades. For the first time in years, she's heard that voice too. The one that once answered her through static and fear. She whispers his name, barely a breath, lost beneath the diner's hum. Rain needles the diner window as Jack drives through misty streets toward a mechanic's shop on the edge of town. Inside, Sergeant Miles Ortega leans on a workbench, prosthetic leg gleaming under a single hanging bulb. The two share the wordless nod of men who've seen too much. Jack tells him about the waitress, the voice that pulled him out of the desert. Ortega stops moving, wrench slipping from his fingers. Echo 9, he whispers. The silence that follows feels heavier than truth. Static hums in Jack's memory. Desert wind screams against metal and dust. A young voice crackles through his headset, calm, precise, commanding. Rain's a just bearing. You've got heat signatures east. He remembers the firefight, the sound of sand hitting his teeth, and the trust he put in that unseen voice. Echo 9, the one who saved them when command went silent. Lena Ward wakes in her small coastal apartment, the sound of rain tapping on the window like distant rotor blades. She kneels beside a wooden box, unlocks it, and lifts a weathered military radio from its velvet cloth. Her thumb brushes the frequency dial, the numbers etched in her memory like scars. For a heartbeat, she imagines Jack's voice answering back. Then she switches it off, trembling. Back in the past, the mission's debrief room. Colonel Dana Mercer stands tall, face unreadable, while the team sits bruised and broken. The air smells of iron and smoke. She calls the op a success, even as a body bag waits outside the tent. Jack remembers trying to speak, to ask about the voice on the radio, but Mercer's glare silenced him. No such operator existed, she said. The words hit harder than shrapnel. Back in the present, Jack can't shake it anymore. The coffee on his counter grows cold as he stares at the rain beyond the window. Somewhere out there, she's alive. The voice command said never existed. He grabs his jacket, the old marine patch stitched beneath the lining, and steps into the storm. The fog swallows him whole, but his purpose burns clear tomorrow. He's going back to that diner. The diner is almost empty when Jack returns. Rain slicks the windows, reflecting the crimson hum of neon. Lena wipes the counter, her movements slow and guarded. When their eyes meet, silence thickens between them. Jack steps forward, voice low but steady. That night in the desert. I heard you. She freezes. The rag in her hand stops mid-swipe. Her pulse trembles in her throat, but her voice stays calm. You must be mistaken. Yet the flicker in her eyes says otherwise. Jack slides into a booth. Lena stands across from him, arms crossed in defense. His words come measured, every syllable carrying the weight of a memory. You said, "Move east, Rains." I've got your eyes. You were Echo 9. Her composure cracks, only for a second. That operation doesn't exist, she murmurs, but her trembling fingers betray her. The hum of the refrigerator fills the silence. Both know this conversation shouldn't be happening. Now we won. The turtle. Flashback. The night she saved them. Radio static mixed with gunfire, the sky aflame with tracer rounds. Her voice filled the void calm, unshakable. Move east. Reinforcements inbound. Jack remembers shouting her call sign into the dark, trusting a ghost. The sound of her voice had been a lifeline when the world burned around him. Back in the diner, Jack notices something. A small tattoo on her wrist, partly hidden under the sleeve of her uniform. A series of numbers and letters in 9473. His breath catches. Echo 9, he whispers. She follows his gaze and covers her wrist too late. The truth is laid bare between them, fragile and electric. She exhales, the fight draining out of her. You weren't supposed to remember, Lena says quietly. They erased everything. I was never there. Her eyes glisten with something deeper than guilt, the pain of a life lived under silence. Jack's voice is rough with memory. You saved us, Lena. You saved me. For the first time, she meets his gaze without flinching. The truth is out, but so is the danger. Jack meets Ortega in the back of the garage, rain slamming against the metal roof like artillery. The storm outside matches the one in his chest. Ortega listens, his jaw tightening as Jack tells him about Lena. The voice, the tattoo, the truth. You have to let this go, Ortega warns. People still watching that up, brother. Mercer's name came up once, and then disappeared. Jack's silence says what words can't. He's not letting go. Across town, Lena's phone buzzes in her apartment. A message flashes. They know you're alive. Her blood runs cold. She shuts off the lights and draws the blinds, breath quickening. Outside, headlights crawl past her window like predators. She clutches the radio in both hands, trembling. The hum of its old circuits sounds like a heartbeat. Flashback. The desert. The sound of gunfire merges with static. Lena's voice, then younger and sharper, calls over the radio. We're losing Brooks. Jack remembers turning. The young private falling, sand exploding around. The extraction came too late. That night shattered everything. The guilt never left. Now, as the memory flashes behind Jack's eyes, he finally understands why she hid. Colonel Dana Mercer sits in her Washington office, the rain drumming against high glass windows. She scrolls through encrypted files on her monitor, her reflection warped in the screen. One by one, names disappear. Brooks, Rains, Echo 9. Her finger hesitates over the last file before she hits delete. She exhales sharply. The truth dies another quiet death in the glow of bureaucracy. Back in the diner, Lena waits in the dark, a duffel bag at her feet. The clock above the counter ticks loud and cruel. Jack bursts through the door, soaked and determined. They're coming, he says. She nods. No time for fear now. Together they step into the fog, leaving behind the only life she's known. The bell above the door rings once. then stills forever. The night howls through the coastal warehouse. Salt wind rattles the tin roof, waves pounding against the shore outside. Jack and Lena crouch behind rusted crates, flashlights off, breath shallow. The silence between them hums with things unsaid. Lena stares at the ground, voice breaking. I should died with them. Jack shakes his head. You saved lives, Lena. That's why they buried you. Outside, headlights sweep past, fleeting, then gone. Lena's confession spills like rain through broken glass. It wasn't just an op, Jack. Mercer ordered the strike knowing civilians were there. I intercepted the signal, tried to warn you. She presses trembling hands to her temples. They erased me because I disobeyed. Jack stares at her, jaw tight. The truth hits like gunfire. Everything they fought for was built on silence and lies. Jack's composure breaks. He slams a fist against the crate, the sound echoing like a rifle shot. We carried their deaths on our backs, all for Mercer's lie. He turns away, shoulders heaving, fighting a storm that never left the desert. Lena watches him, her eyes softening. We don't have to hide anymore, she whispers. He laughs bitterly, voice cracking. You don't unbury ghosts, Lena. You just invite them home. Morning creeps in pale and gray. Ortega's pickup rumbles down the dirt road toward the warehouse. When he steps out, the prosthetic leg glints under the rising sun. He tosses Jack a duffel bag. Food, gas, an old radio. I shouldn't be here, he mutters, scanning the horizon. But I owe you both. Jack grips his shoulder, their eyes locking with the silent promise of brothers in arms. Ortega nods once and disappears into the fog. A black SUV glides through the fog toward the coast. Its headlights cut through the gray like knives. Inside the warehouse, Jack feels it before he hears it. The low hum of engines. He meets Lena's eyes. They found us. She nods once, calm despite the dread. For a moment, neither moves. The sound of the ocean fills the space, timeless and indifferent. Then Jack reaches for his pack. We end this, he says. Together, they vanish into the mist. The road winds through fog and memory. Jack drives in silence, the headlights barely cutting the gray. Lena sits beside him, hands clasped tight in her lap, radio on her knees. The same one that carried her voice through war. Once we start this, she murmurs, there's no turning back. Jack's eyes stay fixed on the road. We never turned back then. We want now. The rain begins again, soft, steady, like the heartbeat of the past returning. They reach the government annex, a cold, forgotten building by the pier. Inside, fluorescent lights buzz like insects. Jack moves first, silent, trained, a soldier again. Lena follows, clutching the radio and a small flash drive. Mercer's secret file. Down the corridor, footsteps echo. At the end of the hall, Colonel Mercer waits, still and composed, as if she knew they'd come. I told them you'd die out there, she says quietly. Seems I was wrong. Lena plugs the drive into a laptop on Mercer's desk. The screen flickers, and the room fills with the ghostly hum of mission audio. Voices from years ago flood the speakers. Gunfire. Static. Commands. Then, clear as sunrise, Echo 9 to Rains. Hold position. Mercer's face tightens. Jack closes his eyes. Pain and relief colliding. You can't bury a voice, he says softly. The proof speaks for itself. Mercer exhales, the facade shattering. You think this changes anything? The machine keeps moving. Lena steps closer, voice trembling but strong. Machines don't feel guilt. People do. Mercer's eyes fill. For the first time, she looks human. I did what I was ordered to, she whispers. Jack's reply is quiet, final. So did we, but we lived with it. Silence stretches, broken only by the rain beating against the windows like distant gunfire. The storm outside swells as Mercer lowers her gaze. "Take the file," she says quietly, before someone else does. Lena pulls the drive from the laptop, tucking it into her sleeve. Jack nods once. No forgiveness, just closure. As they walk out, the corridor lights flicker, then fade behind them. Mercer remains alone, staring at the blank monitor, the hum of the deleted names echoing in the dark. For the first time, silence feels like punishment. The cemetery overlooks the sea, waves crashing below like distant drums. Jack stands before a headstone marked Private Eli Brooks, 1987-2012. The air smells of rain and salt. Lena places a single white rose on the stone, her hands trembling. "He was just a kid," she whispers. Jack nods, voice raw. He deserved to be remembered, not erased. The wind rises, scattering petals across the grass. For the first time, the silence feels like peace. As the tide pulls back, Lena speaks softly, as if confessing to the wind. "My name isn't Lena Ward. It never was. It's Eleonora Whitfield." Jack turns, meeting her eyes with calm understanding. "Then that's who you are now," he says. Her lips tremble into a faint smile. For the first time, she isn't hiding behind a voice. She is it, whole, seen, alive. The name Echo 9 finally fades into the waves. Weeks later, the diner reopens. Repaired, repainted, reborn. The same neon hum returns, but softer now. Lena moves between tables, calm and sure, no longer hide. Jack sits in his old booth, sipping coffee, the ghost of a smile crossing his face. The world hasn't changed, but they have. In the corner, a radio hums faint static, like a voice testing the air before speaking again. In the quiet hours before dawn, Jack sits at the counter with a tape recorder. His voice is steady, deepened by time. For Brooks, for the ones who never came home, for the voice that kept us alive when command went silent. He presses stop, pockets the recorder, and looks toward Lena, who's watching from the doorway. No words pass. They don't need to. The silence between them has become something sacred. Night returns to the coast. The diner lights dim. Out beyond the shore, a small fishing boat drifts in the fog. Through a radio, faint static breaks, then a voice, calm and sure. "If you can hear me, you're not alone. This is Echo 9, guiding you home." The waves echo her words like a promise. Jack listens from the dock, eyes closed, the wind carrying peace through the dark. The voice that once led him through war now leads him back to life.